brilliant speed with vibrant service, vibrant broadband internet.
36 seconds after 10:29. How's that for being exact? And you guys are on the air with Vibrant U.
Well, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Vibrant U Live. My name is Shane.
I'm Jane.
And I'm Bo.
And Woody, have you ever thought about how a letter arrives at your house through the mail? Like a birthday card or something?
Well, I've got a pretty good idea how it gets there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Somebody puts it in an envelope, places a stamp on it. They trust that the post office will deliver it to you.
There you go.
So that letter might go through several routing centers in different cities. Let's say it comes from out of state. Be placed on a plane, on a truck to a local routing center, and from that routing center to your post office, inside the post office, routed to the truck or the carrier that goes to your house, and then delivered to your mailbox.
How about that?
Simple.
I know. Think
What
about
could go wrong?
just our post office in town here. They handle tens of thousands of pieces of mail, and it does get delivered to where it's supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
99.99% of the time, right? Well, this is how your router works inside your home. Think of it as your personal post office.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's sending packets to different devices.
Can I buy stamps from it?
No, you don't have to buy stamps.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the difference, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but we're going to start out with Bo kind of explaining to our audience how a router works.
Yeah, it's a good analogy to kind of think of it as like a post office and sending a letter. Whether it's Netflix or Facebook, YouTube, pretty much anything you're doing online, it arrives as a digital data, which kind of needs to be translated because otherwise it's a string of zeros and ones, and that wouldn't make any sense if that was what was popping up on your screen. So it's kind of like the letters being, it's being written, it's being put in the envelope, sealed, opened, delivered, and read, all in kind of the blink of an eye. That's what your router is doing. It has a radio chip that actually converts those ones and zeros into a radio signal, and that signal is sent to your device, whether it's your computer, your phone, and it's put in a way that we can understand it in form of a video or an audio or an article. So a lot of people don't really think about how that is actually happening, how cool that is, but that's what your router is doing, and it's the computer in your house that's working the hardest. That's why if you ever go and touch it, it always seems like it's breathing heavy and a little bit warm.
Mm-hmm.
Can it send me a $20 bill with my birthday card?
I think you could, if you have Venmo or
Sure.
Cash App, you probably can.
For sure it can.
So what's the difference now between having an older router and a newer router? Well, a lot's changed since then. Obviously, with the stamps have gone up, right? So technology has hugely changed. And also that router functions 24/7. So it does not get a break. And so the reasons why you need to update your router is that probably the technology that you have has changed. And there's out with the old and with the new. So pay attention to that. It's also helps you think about how many people live in your house and how many devices are connected to that. So, it's not like 10 years ago, everybody has a phone. We have cameras outside now. Your refrigerator's connected to your internet. There's just so much things that are changing, and the technology needs to keep up. So it's really important to pay attention to that router. And then, with old routers, they're going to have trouble keeping up with the traffic. So again, you just need to pay attention to that. And then we've also talked about bottlenecking too.
Yeah. So like the older routers, like I remember when I don't know, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I had a wireless router. Now back then, you had to buy your own, right? And wireless connectivity inside the home was kind of a new thing. And I had that router for, 8-9 years. And as technology got better and better, I remember, man, why is my internet so slow? Well, I didn't realize this until I read about it, but routers wear out. And they're electronics, and they're running 24/7, like Bo said, and they do wear out. But those older routers, they've got older chips, they've got older software. They can connect to only so many devices at a time. They'll deliver the data, however, they're slow at it because we gotta feed this much data to this device before I can feed this next set of data to the different device. So, they were designed in a world where there are a lot fewer internet devices sharing the internet, put it that way. Today's routers are designed for dozens of devices and all competing for Wi-Fi at the same time. Right, Bo?
Yeah, and we always get the question when we're talking to people about, do you supply a router? Should we go buy our own? Back in the day when you got internet, you would have to go find your own router and do your own research on what you'd want to get. And we supply a up-to-date router, and we continue to update those. Like Shane said, every few years, people would we say like 3 to 5 years is kind of the typical span of a router. Some people have it for longer and it works great, but just like any technology, it's going to need to be replaced every now and then. So we take care of that. But there are sometimes people want to use their own router, and that's totally fine. If you want customized settings or running your own servers or managing your Wi-Fi, you can definitely do that. Just make sure it's a high-end router. You don't want something that's cheap and been around for a while. And so that's kind of why some people choose to have their own router. But if you get one through us, through the internet provider, then we can manage it. We know exactly what to look for. We can update it. So it's just kind of a one-stop shop for not having to deal with it. A little more simplicity. But those are kind of some questions that we get on a day-to-day basis. And Jane's going to go a little bit more into what you're going to want to look for in router security.
Sure. So with a new router, what you want to pay attention to is you need to have that software update, and that's called firmware when you have your router. So you want to have a router that is on top of it, is always behind the scenes updating that firmware to keep you safe behind the scenes. And Vibrant, we use the best of the best routers. We have a modern Wi-Fi router. There's a lot of features that we have. First of all, you can view all of the devices that are connected to that router. Secondly, you can run a speed test right from it. And we have an app, so you can certainly look at the app and then check out who's on the device, what device is connected, and if they're using it right now, and that kind of stuff. And then I love this feature. You can pause the devices whenever you want.
Yeah, so if your kid,
what device you got to pause?
Well, like if your kids are supposed to be doing homework, and but they're on the internet on TikTok or something, you can pause their device. Say, okay, time to do your homework.
Or if it's bedtime and they're choosing not to go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right. So there's choosing. Do you choose your own router, or do you choose the ISP's router, right? Internet service provider. And so I guess that's something that you have to kind of decide for yourself. But if you choose your own router, you kind of got to know how to run it. So you got to be more of a techie person. Whereas if you choose the router like Bo and Jane were talking from the ISP, you get a lot of features, and pretty much the ISP takes care of it. All the updates that happen, they can troubleshoot it from remotely and things like that. If you buy your own router, which you can do, like even on our service, like we have people that choose to buy their own routers, but then tech support stops, pretty much where you plug the router in. I mean, we can say, yep, you've got internet service up to your home, but beyond that, we can't help you because we don't know how you set up your router. We don't know how the devices are talking to that router or how compatible they are. But if you choose our router, which we always give you the latest and greatest when it comes to routers, we can actually troubleshoot things like, well, we can see that your printer is getting low signal, so you might want to move that printer closer to the router or things like that. So that becomes a choice that you can do. Like Jane mentioned, with our router, we have an app, And on that app, you can set up profiles, and you can set up, you can look at all the devices that are on your router and things like that. You can do that with your own router as well, but you have to know how to run that, whereas, we can help you troubleshoot with that app. In fact, this happened to me. I had my own router when I first hooked up with Vibrant, and I liked it, and I knew how to run it and that kind of thing, but it wore out. Basically, it said, you know what, I'm tired. I'm done sending my signal to you. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to just get the one that Vibrant provides, because it was, actually better than the ones I had. And I had some high-end routers, and I really like it.
One of the things that we kind of failed to mention too is that you can create a guest Wi-Fi, and that's really, you want to go over that guest network information?
Yeah, a guest Wi-Fi allows you to set up a separate Wi-Fi signal, I guess, for like your kids or their friends or your relatives, so that they have it's one more fence between them and your, it's a secure fence between them and your main network. You don't want to give your main network out to anybody. And then even if with devices, like you could put your smart devices on its own guest network, so that it can't get back to the router. And there's some security stuff there, but there's some advanced features getting ready, like getting back to school. It's back to school time. It's getting close. Parents should think about this. But we have a couple of features that we like to talk about here, and one is called Experience IQ, and it offers enhanced parental controls. And this includes putting those profiles on, like Jane mentioned, content filtering, so you can block categories such as maybe adult websites, gambling, violence, social media, some other predefined categories that you can do. You can do app filtering, so it blocks or limits the time that applications can be on this router, such as, say, TikTok or Facebook or whatever. And like I mentioned, you can set up times for, it's time for homework. And so you can't be on the internet playing games or whatever during this time. You can set that up through the Experience IQ. And this, and Bo's going to talk about Protect IQ in a moment, but I just want to mention that if you're on our second tier or above packages, then this is included for free, these advanced technology or advanced features. But you can also, let's say you're on our base packages, you can purchase them through Vibrant for $5.99 a month. So it's up to you if you want to purchase that for $6 a month, or if you want to just upgrade your package to the second tier or above. So that means anybody who's on our 100 package or 25 megabit fixed wireless package, they can get it for $5.99, or they could just jump up to the next tier and get it included. Bo, go into the Protect IQ for us.
Yeah, Protect IQ is kind of the cybersecurity side of the feature that is going to do threat detection like malware or any kind of suspicious connection. So it's just kind of a good peace of mind security device to have. It's a layer of protection for smart home devices like your smart thermostat, doorbells, cameras, those type of things. So you'll get security notifications and just kind of be able to make sure everything in the home is set up to have another layer of security. And it's not going to stop absolutely everything. That's one thing. You still want to be careful about what websites you're visiting, what information you're giving out, but this is a good first layer of protection for that. So if that's a feature that you're on one of our packages that has it and just really haven't gotten a chance to use it, I'd recommend playing around with it a little bit. You can just kind of see what features maybe are important to you, and if it's already there, might as well start using it. And the router is one of the most important things people just don't really think about. That's kind of why we wanted to touch on it a little bit and just share with people. It's doing so much work. It's a little device sitting on your shelf or your table, and it's pretty much running every device in your house through the internet. So if you have one that's older and you're wanting to get an updated one, just let us know, and we can help out with that. And then Jane's going to go a little bit into some of the events actually we have coming up here.
So speaking of running around, we're going to be busy Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yeah.
So Thursday, we are at Car and Bike Night. So come on out and check Vibrant out and all the cool cars and the bikes.
Weather's looking good.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is. And then Saturday, we are going to be at the Kimball Parade handing out candy. And
You'll
then,
see Bo and I
sorry.
there.
Yeah. And then I bet Friday, we are going to be at the Meeker Memorial Hospital Golf Tournament.
Oh,
We are
that's
one
right.
of the sponsors out there, so come check it out.
One more thing, I would just want to add that we are sponsoring the Pistons and Props as well. That Vibrant is sponsoring the barrel train rides for kids.
Oh,
So
fun.
yeah, check that out too.
There you
And so
go.
if you have any questions about routers or Vibrant in general or Experience IQ, give us a call at 693-3231. Catch us on the replay on Facebook or YouTube channel. Search for Vibrant Broadband and then listen live every Wednesday at 10:30 on KLFD.
All right.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you, Jeff, for having us. Thank you, audience, for listening. My name is Shane.
And I'm Jane.
I'm Bo.
Tune in next week for another Vibrant You Live.
Brilliant speed with vibrant service. Vibrant broadband internet. Vibrant broadband internet.